add to stream. That would be a help. I don't know. I was wondering what was going on then. Blank screen. I think I haven't added myself to my stream. What's up, guys? Who's in the chat? Got DJ. I saw 2 viewers for a second. I don't know who the second viewer was. It doesn't matter. Is my audio coming through? Okay, because it feels a bit. I feel like I can hear myself too well. If that makes sense, it doesn't feel. DJ, let me know, please. Am I coming through loud and clear? It could be the setting. I think it's the setting I've got on my headphones. Okay, that's good. That's good. So what's been going on, man? How has your life been in the last week or two? You watched any good films? I watched *Malignant*, and I watched *The Conjuring 3*, which was, well, *The Malignant* was better than *Conjuring 3*. I will say that. *Malignant* was interesting. It was good, sort of slash interesting. It wasn't like, it was an all-time classic. *Conjuring 3* was just a mess of a film. Did not like that film at all. I'm just gonna give me 2 seconds. I'm just gonna change the lighting a little bit. That's better. Sorry, I just bit of a light sort of coming down on me a little bit better. Been watching old EastEnders episodes. Well, you know, we do what we do. I mean, how far back are you going? We're talking like 80s, 90s, 2000s. I'm talking about, like, you know, it's been going a long time. So yeah, tonight's live stream, Slumber Party Massacre 1. Sleazy, cheesy, you know. I will, hang on, just what I need to just do is share, not share, invite. Copy the clipboard, copied. V, that's it. I also watched these people play with me. I also watched these people play with. That's true. Is that like, so that's real then? It's not like a film. It's like a real thing. Because I've not heard of that. I don't know whether I believe in Ouija boards or not. I don't know whether I believe in the whole ghost thing. I think it's enjoyable to believe in it, but I don't know whether I've seen any. I mean, I think it's one of those things you need to see for yourself. Anything, like, if it's regardless, UFOs, aliens, ghosts, Yetis, anything, unless you see it for yourself, you're always going to be skeptical. I don't think you can really take anyone's account to be gospel. That's just my motto anyway. And I'm not just referring to, you know, ghosts, Yetis, or, you know, UFOs, just anything. You know, it's a lot of stuff you see on the news and the media. You got to take it with a pinch of salt, because a lot of the time it's just telling you what you want to think or what you want to know, and I think you've just got to make your own mind up a lot of stuff. People going to haunted locations. Yeah, I think that's quite a big thing on YouTube now. Is a lot of people. What was big in TV in like the 90s and 2000s, like we had the show called Most Haunted, like a TV show where they take, a bunch of people and they film it and they go into these haunted locations. I kind of think like YouTube's kind of just like taken that and just ran with it, because it's so, but the live element as well, if you're live streaming, that element of just going doing a live stream and like in a supposedly haunted location, you could get some serious fucking numbers doing that stuff. Serious numbers. I mean, something that like mainstream media, with their pre-recorded stuff, could even dream about. Can you imagine if you had like, a bunch of like, 6, 7 people with like good quality cameras, with a couple of like, real sort of like footage. I'm trying not to sound too, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but going in with like, a couple of like real photogenic, people who really look good for the camera, and with some real good quality 4K cameras and GoPros, and going into like a haunted location, supposedly haunted location, doing it live like at midnight on Halloween in like this supposedly, you know, real like creepy area. I mean, can you imagine like the sort of views that would get, as opposed to a pre-recorded show? I mean, could that be insane? I don't know. I'm surprised more. I'm surprised like Jake Paul and Logan Paul having, okay, they've done their, haunted fucking Japanese forest stuff, but I mean that was slightly different. It wasn't pre-recorded, because I think they knew that they probably would encounter it at their body, so they had to pre-record that, and that was just a bit sick anyway. But yeah, I mean the potential for doing that sort of thing, I think, is massive. I really do. And I'm surprised more people haven't really jumped on that. There are a few like UK YouTubers who are going down the route of, they kind of do the whole urban exploration thing, where they go into like abandoned locations and they do sort of rural stuff, and they've started going down the route of doing more like paranormal stuff as well. I think they know that's where the views lie. But yeah, it's definitely something that YouTube can make its own, in terms of like, just you just can't replicate that on normal TV. That live reaction to going in somewhere like, a supposed haunted house. You need that live reaction, and there's got to be people out there who must be, if they're not doing it now, why aren't they doing it? Because that's just for me, that's just easy money. You should definitely be doing that. I used to watch most haunted, but I don't like it anymore. So fake. There was never anything really. I don't ever remember an episode where I thought, "Oh yeah, that looks, yeah, something's happened there." It always felt forced. But I just used to like the show. I like the idea of going into like a creepy house, and just, even if it is all faked, I just like the idea of like, this supposed, it's not like, it wasn't live, but these live cams just darting around this big old house, and who knows what they might see. But again, that is a fault of like the era of the time. It was pre-recorded, it wasn't live, and this sort of, whole idea of doing this, you cannot beat live stream. You just can't. It needs to be live stream, and like I said earlier on, there's definitely a market for that live reaction, with a live chat of some people going into like a genuinely disturbing place and just filming. Ah, my God, I'd be tuning into that any day of the week, far more than watching, Payne's, or Jake Paul fight some crap boxer. But it is what it is. If people are doing this, I'm not aware of it. But they should be. People said they felt like webs or shrinking down there, but these were waves. That's what they thought they felt. Yeah. Oh, Blackpool Pleasure Beach, classic. I'll probably start the live stream in about 5 minutes or so. Anybody watching live or on catch up, this Slumber Party Massacre is available on YouTube for free. You don't need to it's so easy to watch. You don't need to get Prime or pay on YouTube. Just go on YouTube, type in Slumber Party Massacre. There's I think there's 2, maybe even 3 uploads on there, completely free. Nobody cares about this film. Clearly, the people who make money off the film don't give a shit because it's just completely free. But and I thought YouTube had a zero policy, zero tolerance on nudity, but they've let this slip through the cracks, and this has got plenty of nudity. Well, at least for the first 20 minutes. So yeah, I'll probably have things rolling in about next 5 minutes. I'll probably, before I get going, let's just I'm probably going to do a live stream on Friday. Probably midnight. Probably go more into depth about. Have watched *Malignant*, the new James Bond film. Got a few things to say about that film. It's definitely an interesting movie. That's an understatement. Also watched the new escape room movie, Tournament of Champions. Needs to be spoken about, I think. Not tonight, but I might mention it. Or maybe I'll just talk about it now, because I think if I do a stream Friday, it's probably going to be taken up with the Matrix trailer, and probably *Malignant*. But yeah, Escape Room 2, which is, I don't even know if anybody's aware of this film. Escape Room 1 was certainly highly entertaining for me. Just a really fun. What would you call this? It's not a slasher film. It's for me. I said this in a tweet the other day. The Escape Room, what it is now, there's 2. There's going to be a third. That's without question. It's turned into a franchise now, and it reminds me of Final Destination. It's just got that sort of feel of a horror franchise that it's certainly not taking itself too seriously. It's just a fun ride, and you get on board and you take it for what it is. Don't ask any questions. Turn your brain off and just enjoy it. And we need more horror like that. And we need less horror like that as well, I will say. But we need a certain percentage of horror to be that way. It can't all be sort of Hereditary and Midsummer and serious. We need that sort of lighter side of horror. And I suppose what I mean by that is, if you fall either side of that and you just completely dull, stuck in the middle, then we need less of that. And my example would be The Conjuring 3, because The Conjuring 3 doesn't offer anything of the former. It's not too serious. It's not artistic in the way that Hereditary is or Midsummer is, and it lacks the sort of the humour and the lightheartedness of something like *Malignant* or Annabelle Far From Home. Is it Far From Home? Or Annabelle Comes Home? I'm getting Spider-Man mixed up with Annabelle. But you've got to be one or the other, and throw in a mix of the. But films like Conjuring 3 don't do anything. They're too serious. They take themselves too seriously, but they haven't got the artistic ability, the artistic credibility to sort of back up the seriousness of the movie. It just comes across as a bit cringy and a bit. Yeah, it doesn't work. And for me, The Conjuring 1 backs it up by being a very, very well made film with a likeable cast and a solid storyline. 2, to a lesser extent. 3, it's gone altogether. But I mean, you look at like a film like Annabelle Comes Home, never tried to be too serious, always a more light-hearted attempt, in the genre, and a light-hearted part of the Conjuring universe. And yeah, I mean, what went wrong with the Conjuring 3? I don't know. I think it's a franchise that it's died to death now. It really has. So is this the movie going to say about that different movie? No, that's a different movie, DJ. That's this in this film there is no surgical mask. This is just purely a man with a power drill. Yeah, it's very, very. It's not very subtle, and it's sort of like I'll just say that. If you watch the film, you'll know what I'm saying. Anyway, let's just. You know what? I've been rambling on for 17 minutes, 18 minutes. Let's just get the film going. So, if you're watching on YouTube, get it set up. I am just going to press play now. And you get the really cheesy opening credits of just the Slumber Party Massacre in. We're just approaching our first 2 minutes where we got our very first completely unnecessary nude scene that I'm complaining. With the really, really bad paper boy, you just like, is that what's like in America? They just like throw newspapers just randomly into gardens. They don't even make any attempt. Mass murder of 5, Russ Vaughan escapes. This must be one of the shortest slasher films, of course. One of the reasons I chose this film for, if I'm going to do a live stream, you know what? If I'm feeling particularly tired, a 1 hour 15 slasher film, that'll do me, I'm not quite sure why she just decides to take her clothes off now. She just does. And there's nothing wrong with it. She's got quite a masculine face, quite a square jaw. I mean, she's pretty, but she has got quite a square jaw. Just something I've noticed. Directed by a woman. That's the crazy thing. Directed by Amy Jones. I love this scene. Where this sort of like DIY woman. I love the fact she's a woman as well. And the two, just the lingering shot on the arse. It's just so wine-nosy, even though we didn't direct it. And she gets killed. It's such a cheesy film. And the next 10 minutes is basically basketball training, followed by a shower. But it is possibly 10 of the greatest minutes in movie history. I mean, talk about padding in movies, making films longer than they need to be. This film's only like 75 minutes long, and yet even at 75 minutes long, there's scenes which are just padded out to make the film even longer. So this is basically like a 65-minute film extended to like a 75-minute film, which is still like ridiculously short for a horror film, or any film. But of course, we now get the infamous shower scene, which is just, well, yeah, glorious. I don't know how much involvement Jim Wynorski had in the direction of this film, but considerable would be my guess. Oh, Dan's in the chat. What's up, man? You can't beat the beautiful Pinky Stevens. There's a lot of good looking women in this film, man. That shower scene, fucking hell. A lot of absolutely gorgeous women. I just see someone on board that's been a bit quiet in the chat. Cheapest Creepers live stream a couple of weeks ago. That I mean, by my channel's fucking tiny. Cheapest Creepers live stream did like 120 views. The following week, Hell Knight's done like 40. Like, what is it? I don't know. Is it more love for Jeepers? I guess it must be the algorithms, maybe. But for channels small as mine, you notice the difference, and it's like Halloween. I think the Halloween 4 live stream was done like over 100, and the Halloween Resurrection done like 45. So maybe people have got taste. But I like that by a woman. Yeah, I was noticing at the start that, because I was thought Jim Wynorski directed it, and then I was noticing at the start it was directed by a woman. I was like, I thought I know Jim Wynorski. He must be involved somehow in this film. And I'm sure he is. I'm sure I've seen Watch the Sausage Factory, and I'm sure they discussed this film. I'm sure Wynorski's he's got to have an influence in this film, surely. Maybe it was a producer or something, anyway. This one is a part of our Oh, well, but you'll have to check that one out then. You probably more idea than me, Dan, but is there some sort of requirement for movies to be above a certain length in time to be regarded as maybe get some sort of release? Because I seem to recall it might not have been this film, but it's another suitably short film where they just padded out scenes in order to get it was either a cinema release or like a VHS, be regarded as an actual movie, because this and there's a few other movies of its type where they're under 80 minutes, and they do just seem to like throw random scenes in it to just sort of extend the runtime. And I'm sure I recall that they did this. There was a specific financial reason why they did this. It was to get like some sort of cinema release, or a release on VHS or something. But I don't know. I really think they 17 minutes speaking of the feature-length feature. I knew there was something around that time. I mean, this film barely clocks in. This film does 75 minutes, I think, and this film adds a considerable amount of like filler. I don't know whether anyone in the chat, obviously I say the chat, Dan and maybe DJ, anyone in the future replying, but did they think they like dropped the ball like by revealing the killer's face too soon? I always feel like in a slasher film that I like that air of mystery where you don't know who the guy is. It also creates a sort of whodunit element to it, so it could be one of the the people you see early on in the film. But yeah, it sort of takes it away from me when it's just some random guy, and if you see his face, everything about him very early on, it kind of the impact is taken away from me a little bit. But I mean, I still love the film, but I do think that a film like Halloween would never have worked with this format of just revealing a killer's face that early. It would never have worked. Not a chance. But I think like a low budget movie like this, where it's not really, I mean, it's obviously, I say it's never really going to take on. Here's me watching a live commentary 40 years later, but it's never been regarded as a classic in the way that some like Halloween or Friday the 13th is. I don't really think. I feel like Halloween would have really been hit by revealing the killer's face early on. It just wouldn't have worked. Lauren, what's in the chat, man? What's in the chat? In the chat, what's up, man? All you gays pretend to be humans. If you want to jump on, man, jump on. Dan, if you want to jump on, man, jump on as well. We're only 15 minutes in. If you like Slumber Party Massacre, jump on right on board. And if you don't like Slumber Party Massacre, jump on board anyway. Another factor that turns out it's an editing ET this. Oh god. Yeah, they probably regret that to this day. Was this filmed in California? It looks very, very, very Californian. From my limited knowledge of American geography, it just looks very, very like. Maybe not. I don't know. No, it does look very Californian. Wants to be a director. Well, I suppose it swings and roundabouts. You turn down ET to direct Slumber Party Massacre. I mean, I've seen worse. I mean, I do love the film. It's directed fairly well. I just think it lacks a decent budget. You can't really knock the director the way it was shot. I mean, it just looks quite cheap because it just the lack. It's clearly not like a budget, a film with a large budget. Slumber Party best film 80. Well, Lorne would say that. I know he noticed, yeah, because I'm sure it's not accidental that this came out the same year as ET, 1982. I'm sure that's not lost on Lorne. Getting Halloween vibes now, major Halloween vibes. Just car pull it in. It looks very, very Haddonfield. And by when I say Haddonfield, it feels very, very Pasadena. I thought you might, Lorne. I thought you might. Just a drill coming through the front door, just like it's completely normal. I'm surprised she's got like a red sort of like tracksuit top on. I'm amazed it's not an Adidas tracksuit top. That just seemed to be like the norm. Late 70s, early 80s, just any sort of film set in America, it was always Adidas. Which I strongly approve of because we love Adidas in England. unfortunately, we also like Nike. But we say Nike, you say Nike. Oh my God. The kids in the UK love Nike. Jesus. They probably make more money in England than they make in the whole of the United States. Every little. I'm a mess. You don't know that. If I was don't say that long. You as a mess probably makes more sense than me just being me. So I like you to that, but you can't be someone else, yeah. I always thought the party came a lot earlier in the film than this. My memory's slipping. Boyfriend number one with the blonde hair, he looks literally about 45. He looks about my age. He can't seriously be going to a slumber party, surely to God. Have you watched the sequel? I've not watched the sequels, Dan. I've only ever seen the original. I should really watch them. I just never really. I love this film because but the sequel with the whole idea with the guy, it's like a guy looks like Elvis Presley with a guitar. I was like, no. I will watch it. I probably will. I mean, eventually, I've just got a lot. I've got a lot. There's a lot of stuff I've not watched, Dan. I mean, I know you've seen everything. I need to. I'm so far behind on like old films, new films. I did watch *Malignant* um, a couple of nights ago. Yeah, that was something. I'm not going to go into *Malignant*. I'm going to do another stream on Friday. Like just a random stream. Presuming I'm not too tired, because sometimes I get to midnight, and I always do my streams at midnight because it's easier, if anyone on the East Coast, like for you guys. But yeah, I would like to talk about *Malignant* and a few other things like the new Matrix trailer. But *Malignant* is, yeah, it's just a very, very odd film. But I don't really want to go into it too much because I would want to go into a bit more depth on Friday, hopefully. But yeah, not what I was expecting. I think, well, it is what I was expecting because I'd seen so many like quick reviews about it saying how crazy it was. So I was kind of expecting it to be not quite the norm. But yeah, it definitely wasn't the norm. It was definitely something a little bit out there. I don't mean that in a necessarily a bad way, but not necessarily in a good way either. It's kind of, but yeah, I mean that's all I'll say about it for now. But I know it has definitely, it's had a mixed reception online. Definitely, they definitely cast older for teens. Fashion for the world too. Today clothes are much more junior, so it's the C20 husbands as old anywhere. I think they've always done that, haven't they, with Lord, in terms of casting. Even maybe even now, I don't know. I don't think I very rarely see a. I mean, this blonde guy. This guy's 35 at least. Surely he looks so old. I mean, he's just a middle-aged man. But yeah, they've always they've never cast teenagers especially in horror films. They've always gone like sort of 23, 24. And I suppose it makes sense if you're going to set a film like on a holiday, they're going to do a camp slasher and you want teenagers, you can get people in their early 20s. If you're doing a film set in an actual high school and you put people in the 20s into uniform, then, well, not necessarily school uniform, but, you know, put them in that school setting, it does look a bit odd sometimes. And it seems to be, I don't know, it's an American thing. It doesn't seem to be as prevalent in the UK, but they do tend to go more for like actually getting people closer to the age. But I know somebody saw the new Matrix film and they said it was unusually bad. The FX weren't quite finished though. I don't really know what the storyline's going to be though. What is the storyline going to be? It looks to me like Neo's back in the Matrix, Trinity's back in the Matrix, and you've got what appears to be a young Morpheus, sort of maybe trying to coax them out or coax Neo. I don't know. It looks like a cash grab to me. I don't know what's going on with that film. Well, Slaughter High was. Hang on, I jumped. Actors were much older than this. Caroline Munro was 37 and playing as High School Slaughter High. Yeah, Slaughter. I've never seen Slaughter High. I think was Slaughter High the film where they basically play a prank on like this nerdy kid, and they sort of dunk his head in the toilet, and then he just gets revenge. That seems to ring a bell. If you can shoot a stapler chiller. It's a bit, that ain't Morpheus, okay. So it's not going back in time then. I don't really care because I'm not really. I'm not going to cinema to see this film. I'll wait until it comes out on streaming. I really don't care. There's only one Matrix film for me. The 2 and 3 were just abominations. I mean, Reloaded was bad enough. I think Revolutions was even worse than Reloaded. I've completely bypassed this film for the last 20 minutes, well, the last 10 minutes. There is some nice Lacoste representation in this film now. They do like a nice Lacoste top, and, you know, I've got to say I do like a bit of Lacoste. So, Lorne, I'm assuming you're still there. Have you seen *Malignant* yet? And if so, what in one word, thoughts? She did disturb you, didn't she? You know, I really like Disturbia. You know, Sheila Buff, however you pronounce it. I really like that film. It's basically, you know, it's basically controversial statement here. I actually think Disturbia is better than Summer of '84. I think Summer of '84 is overrated. And I think Summer of '84 is just a rip-off of Disturbia, which of course is a rip-off of Rear Window, other films. But, you know, in terms of modern movies. Oh, Christian, what's up, man? Nice to see you in the chat, man. I'm assuming you're definitely a Slumber Party Massacre sort of guy. And if you are, we are currently 30 minutes into this masterpiece, and the girls are just getting naked again. Anyway, I was going back to what I was saying. I'm getting distracted now because everyone's all the girls are getting naked. Anyway, yeah. Personally, yeah, it's all about Class of '84. I I do like Disturbia. I think Disturbia is arguably the better film. Yeah, I think Lord's Head one was 37 as well. I mean, we're talking like Grease levels of old women and teenage movies now. But yeah, I mean, I loved Disturbia, and obviously Carrie Ann Moss plays Sheila Booth's. I can't say that name. Sheila Booth. She plays his mother, but she doesn't look a day older in this trailer than what she did about 20 years ago. I don't know if that's just like CGI, but maybe it's CGI actually being used to make her look younger. I mean, because obviously it's the Matrix, everything's just a computer simulation. I don't know whether they've just done a bit of the way they age Samuel L. Jackson in the Marvel films, which look really, really good. I don't know whether they've done that with Carrie Ann Moss, but she doesn't look like somebody who's 22 years older than the woman in the first film, because she was a fair bit older than Keanu Reeves in real life, from what I remember. And Keanu Reeves is like about 56, 57 now. Or should I say John Wick? Because basically this new Matrix film features John Wick. Yeah, it's just John Wick. Come on. Some baseball, not class, man. So does that mean you don't like it? No, I get a feeling you don't like Summer 84. But do you like Disturbia? Oh yeah, Memento was a big post-Matrix film. I completely forgot about that. But yeah, she's not done. She's not really done much um, in terms of that movie should have made well that entire franchise. Maybe the Matrix was a poison chalice. Maybe it was such a big thing that I mean, look what happened to Mark Hamill in Star Wars. You know, apart from a few roles in he did body bags and he did a few voiceover roles in video games. Until the return of Star Wars, he was languishing really nowhere. And you know, talk about being typecast. I mean, that's the ultimate, isn't it? I mean, Harrison Ford. Luckily for him, he managed to get the Indiana Jones role, which I think just opened him up to a whole new market for other roles. But I think Mark Hamill, it was just maybe he was a bit too young at the time, and he just fell into that sort of trap of. But I don't know. I don't think I never really regarded Mark Hamill as a great actor anyway. Maybe he didn't have the charisma, certainly of Harrison Ford, but he was certainly a better actor than Hayden Christensen, though. Christmas too. No, was talking across his on this week. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I'm getting Class of 84. I'm getting my 80. As you see, you've got Summer of 84, Class of 84. There's another 84 film somewhere along the line I've forgotten about, but thanks for clearing that one up, Lon. I've totally missed most of the film now. And when a film's only 75 minutes long, if you turn your back for 10 minutes, the slumber party has begun now. We're 35 minutes in and the slumber party has begun. Well, Slipstream was a failed Thai film we did with. I remember Slipstream, yeah. Made some other beams like Time Not to Get Ivan as well. Yeah, I do remember a Slipstream, I think, was about 88, 89, a few years after Return of the Jedi. But he must, look at Harrison Ford and the way his career, like maybe not now because he's really sort of established himself now and he's done good money. But maybe I'm sure like the mid 80s, going into the late 80s, and he looked at Harrison Ford and he looked at the way his career had gone. There must have been an element of just what if, maybe a little bit of jealousy because they both, Harrison Ford wasn't really anything major before Star Wars, and obviously Mark Hamill was just a kid. So going 10 years down the line, and to see Harrison Ford appear in, obviously, the Star Wars franchise, one of the biggest of all time, but also do the Indiana Jones franchise, do Blade Runner, do films like, Witness, more serious stuff. And for Mark Hamill to be sort of looking on there and thinking, oh, that could have been me, if only, But, obviously he came good in the end, and, he did find his niche. And for Mark Hamill, he was never ever going to be this massive movie star in the way that Harrison Ford was. He was probably going to be quite limited, but he's, he has to say, he's done very, very well out of it, and he's become like the go-to guy really when it comes to voice acting. He's done Chucky. Who did he do recently? Not Chucky. He did something. He did another like really iconic character that like totally escapes me. It's actually, yeah. Well, oh yeah, was that in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, or was it in between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back? I remember he got an injury, and it's visible in his face when you see it after, in between the films. Yeah, definitely done. Robert Englund was roommates with Mark Hamill after he blew his nose and he thought Mark was going to be for it. Oh, that's interesting. So was Robert Englund going? Was he going for a Star Wars audition, Robert Englund? And has he ever said what part he was going for? They're just doing the lights are out, candles are on. I'm really bad at these live commentaries because I just end up just ignoring the film, just talking. But I suppose that's better, really, isn't it? Let me just go on Wikipedia and just find out what was the budget for this film. It made some money, this film. For a budget of $220,000, it made $3.6 million. That's not bad. That's pretty good going. It's set in Los Angeles. I'm just trying to work out whether it was filmed in Los Angeles. It was shot in Los Angeles, in Venice. So it was filmed where it was set, basically. So I mean, regarding filming, like a film this with a very small budget. Well, I mean, okay, a budget more than Halloween by the looks of it, but how does that work actually? Because Halloween had the budget of $300,000, and this had the budget of. This had the budget of. Oh, sorry, no, this had a budget of $220,000. But even so, Halloween had a budget $80,000 more than this. and this film looks cheap as hell. It doesn't. Well, it looks pretty damn cheap. But Halloween looks like $1 million. No pun intended. How does is that just down to like a really good director, or using the money, spending the money wisely? I don't know. I suppose it just comes down to spending the money more wisely. Corbin was made the profits while he still goes on into his 90s. Is he still alive? Jesus Christ. England was the list of Han Solo, I believe. That would have been weird. Robert Englund as Han Solo. I suppose I just can't picture him as anything other than Freddy now, but always been Sky, who's, yeah, definitely too old to Skywalker. Yes, hang on, I've totally lost track. So filming in LA in the early 80s was clearly a lot cheaper than what it must. I can't imagine it'd be that cheap now. This was filmed in Venice in LA, 82, and the whole cost of the shoot was $230,000. Surely to God, if you were going to shoot a movie in LA now, you'd be paying way more than that, even for a cheap slasher film. I can't imagine it would be cheap now to film in LA. I can't believe it was cheap to film in LA back in the early 80s, but I could be wrong. But I was just always aware, the way, and New York has always been very expensive to film in. As in, that's why Friday the 13th Part 8 barely films in New York. But I would have thought LA would have been even more, well, maybe not as extreme as New York for filming costs, but certainly right up there. Bit more nudity. There is a fairly long gap between kills though in this film, I must say. For a short film, you start off with a couple of solid kills, and then it does go quiet for like quite a fairly long stretch of time. I can't post that. Are we talking about the fame? You know, basically the women at the floor looking up, and he's just you see this drill. I agree. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Some of that one. You can see that. Yeah. How phallic is that? Literally, it cuts between his legs, and you just see the drill. It's just how obvious can you make that? Slashes didn't make hype, I think that's it, late half the decade. Yeah, I mean, it's something I've noticed, Lorne, actually, watching a lot of these sort of early 80s. I mean, I saw this a long time ago, but I've watched a lot of, a lot of these slasher films, lesser known slasher films, only in the last like 5 or 6 years from the early 80s. I've been trying to work my way through them. And it's noticeable that, a lot of them they do actually tend to take the time building up the characters and giving them a personality, and do keep the body count to a minimum. But it's just with a lot of these sorts of films, they build up characters who have not got a personality, so you don't really care, and so you just want the killing to start. Where it's like a quality film like Halloween, you actually like the characters, so you invested in them, and it doesn't bother you that the killing doesn't start until like an hour into the film, and at that point you don't want them to die. A lot of these early 80s slasher films with a lower body count, I just I don't care about them because the bad actors, the badly written, and I just want to see a bit of carnage on screen earlier on than what I did want to get to. But yeah, I think that's probably maybe a little bit of a misconception about a lot of these early 80s slasher films. Obviously, some of these slasher films did have a high body count, you know, you know, in the early 80s, but there was a good number which didn't. And yeah, like you say, as the decade progressed, maybe up the game a little bit. I mean, I'd be interested to. I mean, as I say, Dan, Lorne, you'll know this more than me, but does the body count in the Friday the 13th franchise, does it get higher in every subsequent film up until five? Because obviously after five, it's going to drop down because five's just insane. But so what I mean is, so obviously, is the body count higher in two than one, and in three than two, and in four than three, and in five than four? I can't, because I honestly can't remember. I mean, obviously five has got by far the highest body count, but I seem to recall three having a higher body count than four. But I'm pretty sure two's got a higher body count than one. Just going with the sort of the way the 80s was, everything was more excessive, so it's got to be more death, more carnage, more destruction. So I can't recall whether they just kept on increasing the body count with the Friday films. Obviously, as I say, five was obviously the pinnacle, and it just started moving down after that. But I recommend classic slash film TV fans often as one biggest expert. You can't, you can't, you can't reason with kids. They're just clueless. The kill scenes. yeah, over the top Hatchet style with but I feel like Hatchet. Hatchet is pretty shit in my opinion. If that's what kids like, that's what kids like. But I've not seen the sequels. I've got no interest in seeing the sequels to Hatchet. The first one was enough for me. I think I like about this film as well. It's just that traditional. It just looks like to me, as someone from the other side of the pond. It just looks like that sort of traditional, sort of like safe, middle class American neighborhood where nothing bad could ever happen. But obviously, growing up on a diet of American horror films and whatnot, it's the exactly the sort of place where shit's going to go down. So that was make it more enjoyable. But yeah, I love that aesthetic of just that. Oh my god, to grow up in 80s sort of like middle class 80s suburban setting like this must have been fucking amazing. I could be wrong, maybe if I'm wrong, tell me. But I just imagine like just that. I mean, just that sort of Stranger Things setting as well. To be like a 13-year-old in the mid 80s and like some small, you know, small to medium sized town in like Indiana somewhere or somewhere where Stranger Things is set. I just think that'd be amazing. Don't get me wrong, no problems growing up where I grew up, but it's just not the same. It's certainly not as romantic. Grey, drizzly, you know, big city, miserable. Oh, what's up, Jess? Isn't it? What's up, Jess? What's up, man? Really love Slumber Party Massacre 1 and 2. So I've not seen Serenity House Massacre. I need to see that film. I've heard it is way sleazier than Slumber Party Massacre. I haven't said that, isn't Serenity House Massacre 2 way sleazier than Serenity House Massacre 1? Which is saying something. Oh, it's Sean as well. Guys, help me, not nice. Sean, you need to get on Twitter, man. Sean, if you're on Twitter, I mean, if you've got, notifications, click the bell, as soon as I go live, you get a notification and get on Twitter as well, because that's where I post my announcements. Good to see some people on board. Hey, when I first go live, man, it's like a graveyard. There's like DJ and nobody else. The Serenity House sequel is much better. Honestly, the original's pretty bad. I'll probably just do them in like one afternoon. I'm sure they're like 1 hour 20 minutes long. So I'll just do both of them. Now there's a few more people in the chat. Any of you guys seen Malignant? If you've seen it, just give a very, just a one-word answer, because it seems to be a very divisive movie. I quite enjoyed it, but you can see the. Hey, Mike, I can't say I'm going to do the movie. So I'd say I'll try and come back and do it. No problems, man. No problems. Just nice to see you jump on, man. That's you. I know it's just time. It's one of those, isn't it? I go live. I mean, I go live as late as I can because I want to catch you guys on the East Coast. Obviously, people like Sean will jump on. I'm Sean's in Ireland, but Sean just seems to be like a bit of a night owl. So Sean will jump on anyway. DJ's in Scotland, he jumps on. So if I go live at 12 o'clock UK time, midnight, it kind of just hits that point where some of you guys can jump on. I can't go any later than midnight to start the stream. It's just ridiculous. I mean, Tuesday night is the one night where I'm actually I'm off Wednesdays, so I do actually get a lie-in on a Wednesday, but I'm still pretty early anyway. Every other night of the week, I've got to get up for work at like 7 a.m. I do try and do a Friday night stream, which I'm going to try and do this week, but it's always based around whether I've managed to get a couple of hours sleep after work, so I'm fresh to do a stream. But yeah, it's one of those things that Eastern Standard Time. A lot of you guys stream like really late. And I actually catch obviously Jay and Corny. They just stream so late that I'm actually getting up for work. So that's kind of like nice. But somebody like Steak, when Steak Sauce, when he streams like usually about 1 a.m, 2 a.m, it's like I'm done. I'm in bed. So I always miss his streams, unfortunately. But I always catch up. It's the thing. Is that if you don't catch it live, you just catch up. But it's nothing like it's not like being there live, because I just love interacting. If I'm not doing a live stream and interacting with you guys, I just love getting on and just in the comment section. It's just great. And it's great when you are like a small YouTuber, a very small YouTuber, and you can just interact individually with every single person, because there's not many people there to interact with. I don't know how you do it when you get bigger. I mean, people rely on super chats. That's just takes away all sort of takes away all the sort of closeness of what you've sort of gained get going forward. You know what I mean? It's like people paying to speak to you. It just seems a bit off for me. I don't really. I mean, it is what it is. I suppose when you get to a certain level, there's the only way to communicate with the people you make content for is to have super chats. But it's not for me personally. Not that I'd ever be in a position to do that anyway. But back to the chat, and of course, Lauren. No, I haven't seen it. I don't think anybody's seen Malignant, have they? Oh, yeah, Dan's definitely seen it. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely not what you think it is. I haven't seen Malignant yet. People are about it, but I'm not sure if I should take the time to watch it. It's definitely it's interesting. It's not. It's like what Dan said. It's not what you think it is. It's camp as hell. Jesus. I mean, it's so like, I don't mean camp. It's not. Maybe it's the wrong word. We are going into spoilers. The music is different for the sort of what you'd be expecting. The music's certainly like slightly out of left field. I will say, how do I describe the antagonist without? He's kind of a bit over the top with his performance. That's all I'll say. It is quite, yeah. If that means camp, then yeah, definitely there's definitely a camp element to the main bad guy, or whatever you want to call it. That's all I'll say. It's a dumb over the top one, but I think a second viewing might drop another notch or two for me. Still, I'm glad it wasn't another safe, forgettable ghost story. Yeah, it's definitely here. It's definitely something that will stick with me for a while. It's certainly. I don't blame you, mate. Yeah, cheers, Jess, man. I'd like to get more than Candyman shot. Yeah, yeah. I've not seen Candyman yet, but I can't imagine that it's. The thing about Malignant is you're never bored. It's just you sit there, it holds your attention, even though you're thinking, this is a bit, what's going on? Why is this happening? Why is this music kicking in? This is a bit nuts. But you're always entertained. And it's an hour 50. This is quite a long film for a horror film. You're talking like an hour and 50 minutes, but you're never looking at your watch. You're never like distracted. You never go onto your phone and think, oh, what's going on? It does keep you entertained. And for it's rare for a horror film of 1 hour 50 minutes to do that for me, because usually when I watch a horror film, I'm used to being 90 minutes, quite, short, sharp, to the point, does its job, unless it's a bit more arty and it goes on a bit longer. But this isn't like an arty horror film. It is what it is. But as I say, it doesn't. And I was at no point in this film was I distracted by my phone, or looking at a watch, looking at the clock. Just what's. I was fully invested, even if at times I was a bit like, this is a bit. This is not what I was expecting. It's a bit crazy at parts, but I'll tell you what, more better than that than another generic, haunted house, creepy kid, creepy doll, whatever you want to do, story. I mean, what did I saw a film on Amazon Prime a couple of weeks ago with Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things. I think it was called The Turning, was it? One of the most awful horror films I've ever seen. Dull as dishwater. Just a shocking film. And, probably on a similar budget to this, maybe that's James Wan's probably James Wan probably on a bigger budget, but just the fact that this film is on Amazon Prime, and it just blows my mind that this film was ever even made. It's just so bad to see a movie where it is fairly generic in parts, but in other parts they've just done something a little bit different. It's just entertaining for me. So yeah, I mean, if you're unsure about Malignant, just take a chance on it, because it is worth it. It's a ride, and for the majority of the time, it's a good ride as well. Hayden's 5:30 6-hour special slow. Corey doesn't seem to stream heavily. No, Corey's like sort of on the back burner at the minute. I don't know what's going on. I think he's been busy working, because I do miss those early morning for him, early morning for me, as in 6:30. But it was always, a couple of months ago, I'd get up like 6 a.m. You could pretty much guaranteed either Jay or Corny or Source would be streaming, doing something. And it's been really quiet recently. It's been a bit disappointing. No, it's definitely campy. Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, definitely. It is something. It is something of a difference. I've just witnessed the famous body in the fridge scene. They just keep pushing the fridge open the fridge, shut, close the fridge. Don't realise there's a dead body in there. And now they see it. The corpse party, as Lorne would say. I never realised how much of a trope that was. I'd never even heard of the term corpse party until Lorne said last week. I was aware of like this idea that like at a certain point in the film, bodies were just especially in Halloween where the bodies just all arrive at once and she sees body, 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 body. But I never really got onto the fact that it's quite a commonly used trope, and I didn't know it was called a corpse party even. I asked this question earlier on in the chat, so I'll ask it again. Do you think this film suffers from revealing the killer's face too early on? Because, as a slasher fan and a fan of the traditional slasher sort of rules, I like a mask. And I just think revealing his face so early on, it kind of took away a bit of the mystique away from the killer. I still like the film, but I do like. I think I would have preferred the face reveal right at the end rather than you know in the first 20 minutes of the film. But that's just me. Anyone's looking forward to the Matrix 4? Um, not really. Not really sure. I'm gonna do it. I'm doing a live stream on Friday night, um, midnight UK time, Irish time. So make a note of that because I'll be going into more depth about the Matrix 4 Resurrections. But that's all I'll say. I'll go into more depth about that film or my thoughts on Friday night. Hopefully, should be streaming. Definitely touch wood, should be streaming Friday night. But I wanted to keep this just more about, you know, doing the commentary. But yeah, I do want to talk about that film. No, I think this one was fun with Miss Jones. I really enjoyed The Killer. I said I do like The Killer in this film. I do like the idea of the drill. I think that's what's put me off the sequel is the idea of the guy with the guitar. It just seems so ridiculous. I just couldn't take it seriously. And excuse me, I just put me off the film. Like the sequels, I just seem so ridiculous to the point where it's like I can't even be bothered with watching them. But I mean, I am a completionist in a way, so I really should watch because I mean I've seen the first one, so I should really watch the sequels. But like I say, I've got so many films that I've never seen. This is where he just gets his comeuppance. She gets the world's smallest knife and sticks it in. I love how there's just like this enormous sword just attached to the wall. Pillar of Faintness, Love as well. Certainly is. I've been visiting St. the slasher slash over. You've probably seen more slashers in a week than I've seen in my entire lifetime. And she chops his drill off. And I'm sure we know the meaning for that. For an hour 15-minute film, it actually feels longer sometimes. If you're watching it and you're kind of distracted by the chat, it should seem to go quicker, but it actually seems to be. It actually seems to appear longer. And it just pops up from the swimming pool with no hands. And it just lands on the giant sword. This film ends really abruptly as well. Crying around the swimming pool, and then the film just ends. And the film just ends. It's such a trope as well. Any film you ever see where it's like, it's a bit of shit going down at the end. You always know when the film's going to end. You always hear that distant sound of sirens, ambulances, police cars. It's like the film's ending now. But that was Slumber Party Massacre, 1982, the 39th anniversary of that film. I mean, it was just a way of getting. The fact that it was the 39th anniversary was just a random thing. Well, it wasn't necessary. I just wanted an excuse to watch that film. I've been a bit after doing the Halloween franchise. I've been like sort of scratching around, trying to think what can I do live commentaries for. I thought Friday the 13th was a bit too obvious. I probably will do maybe going up towards. I always feel Friday the 13th. Something I'd rather do more, sort of like going towards more winter, even though it's more of a summer film. Definitely going to do Halloween Kills. A Halloween 2018 live stream commentary. just before Halloween Kills drops. I just need to kind of get myself reacquainted with that film, because I've seen the film twice since it came out, and the second time I saw it was like well over a year ago, and now I'm going to go and see the film probably the second day it comes out in the cinema. But yeah, I was going to actually something else I'm going to talk about on Friday, presuming I do my live stream, which I should do. It's talking about Halloween Kills and its decision to go to streaming on the same day. Whether that's a good idea, whether it's a bad idea, because I'm not really entirely aware of Peacock as a streaming service. I don't know who they are. I don't know where they come from. So I'm assuming they're a fairly big deal in the States. I've certainly never heard of them in the UK. But yeah, it's an interesting take. I don't really know whether they're scared to just drop it on cinemas, and maybe they feel it's a safer option to drop it on streaming as well. But is it not a safer option to just go to drop it in the cinema and then go to streaming like a couple of months down the line? I don't honestly know how they're going to make money, because if you go to streaming on the same day, people are just going to pirate it. That's what people do. There's no way around it. People are going to pirate the film, and it's not going to make the money it would if it stays on the cinema. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that, guys, because it's 1:45 UK. I'm going to do a live stream Friday night talking about all this Halloween Kills, Malignant, other stuff. So quick shout out to everyone who's been in the chat. Dan, obviously Sean, Jess, Lorne, DJ. I think that is it. Am I missing anyone? Christian jumped on. Christian, of course. And I think that is it, guys. So yeah, I will be definitely, well, I say definitely, touch wood, as long as I get a decent night, well, a decent sleep Friday evening to jump on at midnight. Definitely going to be jumping on, touch wood, midnight Friday to talk about Halloween Kills, Malignant, and other random shit, Matrix Resurrections. But guys, thanks for being in the chat. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate that, man. And I will see you on Friday night. Peace. Later.